Holy cow. Welcome to Donnie's Hangout Adventures. This one will be for YouTube and another lame brain idea from the wonderful mind of Vince McMahon. Let me tell you, Vince has had some stinkers in the past. The bodybuilding, remember the World Bodybuilding Federation? What happened to it? Within 6 months, belly up. XFL, what happened to it? 1 year, went under, they're like on their third try. But not this new one now. No, this one they had like in 2001. So Vince has had some stinkers. And, he's a businessman. Don't get me wrong. He's a businessman. And so he's always trying to think up new ways to promote WWE. But here's the thing. WWE is not a sport. No matter how you want to look at it, it's not a sport. Baseball, Major League Baseball, the NFL, they are sports. But WWE is not sports. They try to get around it by calling it sports entertainment, but it's not a sport. No matter how you want to look at it, it's just not. So, the one thing that WWE has never had, thank God, they never had, but they want to try it. They want to oh my God. Vince's new idea, he wants to legalize betting on matches. Okay, before I get into this with problems with this, there's a difference between gambling and betting. There's not a huge difference. Now, gambling is you don't have any idea of the outcome. Actually, you do in wrestling. So how would it be any different from then betting? Betting is based on the outcome, based on the performance. There ain't much difference between the two, but they want to do the betting. They want to go to the betting way. They only want to do this in 2 states. And I find the 2 states really funny. Colorado and Michigan. I know, say what you want about that. Colorado and Michigan, that's 2 states where it's legalized marijuana. So, say what you want about that. But that's the 2 states that they want to do legalized. Let's just get it off the table. It's legalized gambling. But here's the issue with this. There's a clear issue with this. When you're betting on a sporting event, like the NBA Finals Game 6 or NCAA Championship game, basketball game, or when you're betting on a Major League Baseball game like World Series Game 5, or even this year when you're betting on, the Super Bowl between the Chiefs, and you're betting on, you don't know who's going to win. So you got to sit there and watch to figure out. It was Chiefs and Eagles, by the way. I ran a brain fart. So you're sitting there and you don't know who's going to win. If you watch wrestling long enough, you can pretty much figure out going into each match who's going to win. You can almost predict the outcome, especially nowadays when wrestling's become so damn predictable. It really has. It's become so predictable that now you could pretty much figure out who's going to win. This is a lame brain idea, especially what if they're going to try to say that they're not allowed to do it. But let's be honest, it's probably going to happen. What if you're a screenwriter or a wrestler or an on-air talent like a manager or a commentator, or you're the one of 2,000 or 3,000 employees that work for the company. Let's say that you know the outcome, the exact outcome of like a Roman Reigns versus a Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. So you know who's going to win, and you could place a bet and you would win, and there'd be no way for you to lose because you know the specific outcome. This is a lame brain idea because wrestling, as we know, except the injuries usually are real, the legitimate injuries, like ACLs and neck and back and all that. Besides taking the injuries out of the equation, we all know wrestling is 100% scripted. It's scripted from the promos down to the matches. The matches are so far scripted that they know the start, they know the middle of it, and the ending. That's how scripted they are, and they're very minute. They used to call matches on the fly. They haven't done that in years. Promos used to be, you'd have bulletin points, talk about this, talk about the pay-per-view, and talk about your opponent, and, So that's what they used to do. But now the promos, you have to memorize a 10-minute promo and go out there and try to deliver your promo. And a lot of times you see nowadays, they forget their promo, and I'm going off on a tangent here. I got to get back to what I was talking about, which is betting or gambling. I like how WWE tries to make this sound okay. They try to make this sound okay but not calling it gambling, but calling it betting. I love Vince's wordplay that he's done over the years. It's not a hospital. It's an emergency center. It's not a belt. It's a championship. So he tries to make this sound better than it actually is when it's really not. Gambling is a major problem, especially with a lot of people, because they will just gamble, and that's why they have Gambler Anonymous, or you got to call it, because you have an addiction to it. This would cause a really big time addiction for people, especially if they don't like a wrestler because they're a heel. They'll gamble or bet for the face every time and probably lose 75% of the time, especially now considering how predictable the product is. This is a horrendous idea. This is absolutely horrendous. They're only going to try to do it in 2 states, like I said, Michigan and Colorado. I'm surprised it wasn't Colorado and Nevada. I really, really am, because especially Las Vegas is really easy to bet on games or whatever you want to bet on, because they have those all over the freaking place out there. Literally, they do. They have an entire industry dedicated to it. This is another horrendous Vince McMahon idea. And I think he's starting to lose his mind in his old age. I think he's really starting to lose his mind, because this is one of his most horrendous ideas, to be able to bet on scripted matches. That is an absolutely horrendous idea. It is the bad ideas of bad ideas. I don't think there's a worse idea that he could have come up with at this point. This is absolutely horrendous. Really, really horrendous. Betting on scripted matches. Millions and millions of people would have a gambling, or as they call it, a betting addiction. Horrendous.